Hi guys, today I'll be taking a look at a top tier clicky switch, the Kailh BOX Pink. Let's get started. Now, the Box Pink is a medium weighted clicky switch in between the lighter Box White and the heavier Box Jade and Navy switches. Also, it now comes in two variants, the normal one which I have and a fully transparent crystal version. The only difference is the visual aspect as far as I'm aware. Now, pricing wise, these are $12.24 for 36 switches on novel keys, placing this in the mid-range. And this is what they look like when disassembled. Feel free to pause the video. Now, let's move on to the switch categories. On-center key presses are extremely smooth with zero scratchiness or binding. Off-center key presses, however, are slightly scratchier at very slow key presses, but this is barely an issue for the most part. Overall, they're very smooth and I highly recommend them, 8 out of 10. Now, according to Kailhua, these switches have an actuation force of 55 grams at 1.8mm and a total travel of 3.6mm. Now, in terms of the actual key feel, they are medium weighted in between the lighter Box White and the heavier Box Jade. However, they are closer to the Box Whites than they are to the Box Jades, so it's not perfectly in between the two. In fact, this piqued my curiosity, so I measured the click bar thickness of these three switches, which you can see here. And funny enough, the Pink's click bar is closer to the thickness of the Jades, which is very interesting. Additionally, the Box Pinks are floatier in key feel, they don't bottom out as harshly as Box Whites, and they are very consistent. I'd say these are amongst the most consistent performing box switch currently available. Overall, I absolutely love the weighting. This is the kind of switch that I would use just for its weighting alone. Kailhua really nailed this one. 10 out of 10. Now, sound is pretty much just like any other click bar switch, it's nothing special at this point. But with that being said, these are still miles better than any click jacket switch and I will never fail to mention that. Overall, it's a good sounding switch and a relatively clacky one which I like. 7 out of 10. Now, take a listen and enjoy. Now, typing on these was wondrous, simply wondrous. They were very smooth, very consistent and perfectly weighted. They honestly are very close to being the perfect switch for typing. I love these. But let's talk tactility since we haven't covered that yet. These are not the most tactile clicky switch money can buy. That title still stands with the Box Navy. So if you're looking for extreme tactility, this isn't the switch for you. However, if you're looking for a slightly more tactile Box White or frankly an upgrade from a Cherry MX Blue, this is a really good jump, and especially so if you're coming from an MX switch. Good things aside, however, my sample was not perfect. There were minor key chattering and mismatch click to actuation issues which I encountered more often compared to any other box switch I've reviewed. And I suspect this is because I bought these switches very early on when they first released. So Kailhua may have fixed this issue, but I don't know for sure. Overall, apart from some minor issues, they were an amazing switch for typing and are up there with the very best switches I know of. 9 out of 10. Now, I've mentioned many times that gaming with clicky switches isn't really the way to go, especially if you like stealth or slow-paced games, and the same can be said with these Box Pinks. However, they are very smooth and a highly consistent performer, making them the perfect companion for demanding games. It's a switch you can comfortably rely on. It did not falter in any of my gaming tests. Additionally, the weighting was perfect for me. It wasn't too light or too heavy, meaning I basically had no issue with it the whole time. In fact, I didn't really even notice the switches most of the time, which is a good sign everything is going well. However, back to the fact that these are clicky switches. For me, it's the clicking in the background that annoy me in quieter scenes, which is why I tend to not recommend clicky switches for gaming. Overall, I personally wouldn't use this for gaming, but even with that said, these are excellent for that. And if you're someone who plays games exclusively on a clicky switch, pick one of these up and let me know your experience. I'm actually curious. 8 out of 10. In conclusion, I see this as one of the ultimate switches ever made, and if you've watched any of my other videos, you know that I'm not exaggerating when I say that. I truly mean it. The box switches have been a blast to use, and this is one of the better ones. The final score for this switch is 42 out of 50 or 84%, which doesn't surprise me in the slightest. These are excellent switches, and I really mean that, guys. And that's the end of the review, and next time I'll be looking at a pink linear switch. If you can guess what it is, I'll be very impressed. Anyway, until then, take care and goodbye.